Hello.
Hey everybody, this is Tafo and Chroma, and I feel like we have a potential for good content here before top 8 if people aren't a fan of Smash 4 or Ultimate later. I feel like there's like a void on top 8 days where like melee players are anxiously sitting around, so we figured why not do a top 8 show?
I think it's a good idea. I see like 3 or 4 waiting room streams right now.
Yeah,
I went I went running today because it's not that I don't like Smash 4. I just, I'm not going to wake up to watch Smash 4, I guess.
it doesn't move the needle for you in waking up, but a
It
marathon,
really, really doesn't.
but a 5K does for some reason.
Yeah.
All right.
Because that one I'm suffering, but I'm accomplishing something.
All right, what we're gonna do is GTX pre-analysis top 8 show right now. We're gonna tweet it. Everyone in the audience is gonna retweet it, and we're gonna go ahead and go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead before we get into the top 8. Let's ask ourselves what led into the top 8. How much did you really watch last night?
I watched more than I originally expected I would. I thought I was going to get productive things done. I didn't. I thought.
Okay.
Oh, hold on one sec. I broke everything. Yeah, no, I actually saw a good chunk of this. I was happy to watch a lot of these matches. There was a lot of stuff that I wanted to watch that wasn't on stream. So I wanted to watch Wes. I wanted to watch Axe Mike Hayes, honestly. I wanted to watch Commaster sets. I didn't get to see those, but I saw a lot of like pretty much everything that was on stream.
Yeah. It's like kind of unfortunate because I think we had like one stream most of the time. And some things to kind of note: GTX was really stacked last year. They kind of scaled back this year, so Leffen did end up signing up, but didn't show up. So that's why we had Snowy in the winners round of 16. Now we're gonna focus on the winners bracket and kind of move down to losers bracket later. Any surprises on the winners side of things?
The weird thing is, this actually all kind of played out the way that I thought it would after Leffen dropped. I actually thought Bananas would beat Axe. I think a lot of people did. Mango actually almost just clean 3-0'd Bananas, and then Bananas really brought it back to like either second to last or last dot game 5. I didn't see that coming. Snowy started off really good versus Ginger. Zane beat Wizzy, I think is the really big one for me. And Face Roll got timed out by Wizzrobe, which was sad.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I said Face Roll was going to lose 3-1, and everybody thought I was crazy. They thought it was going to be a clean 30.
It was looking like a clean 30, right?
Yeah, but I feel like it's hard to win a double counter pick situation. It's kind of interesting. Army continuing his trend of pretty good showings here, beating West, but unfortunately getting 30 by Hungrybox. Other than that, I think like the only really big highlight, other than the ones you mentioned, was S5 versus Lucky. I thought Lucky was going to potentially take it, but S5 ended up going 3-1. I feel like that was like a double down set where, unfortunately for Ginger, like whoever won that set's like guaranteed top 5, and whoever doesn't make it, it's like going to probably finish 9th.
I thought he had a chance. Like out of everyone else here, I thought that was one of his better draws. And maybe I don't know, maybe you give him the Falcon or one of the ICs, but like yeah, if you're Ginger there, you've obviously been given a pretty clean path. NMW didn't show up, Leffen didn't show up. Snowy, he had to outplay for like 2 whole minutes game 4. But I don't know. I thought once he made it there, he had a chance at beating whatever Fox came through.
That's true. But like if you're S5 or Lucky, you're not really wanting to face any of the other 6 other players that are in that kind of portion of the bracket, or Leffen.
They definitely had a little bit of an easy day. They had a half day to get to top 8.
So it's kind of interesting. You mentioned the Bananas versus Axe point, and I feel like Axe has. This is one of the few cases where I would say like Axe has good enough secondaries. Like he could play floaties, he could play Young Link, and I think it could work. Offhand, I totally forget. Like he lost to Army too, so I partially think it's kind of like a mental block thing. Like the way that X tweets and the way that he kind of feels about Ice Climbers, I feel like there's a large mental block. To be fair, Bananas and Army are really good players, so I don't want to dismiss them. But I feel like Army also, along with that, also gets into his own head about ICs.
He did say he played scared. The last time I saw it, I mean, I think it's almost just he has some characters that he's always had a character crisis against. Icy's even when he would play Fly. Wobbles is a different story, but he would go, 3-4 different characters regularly. He tried Falco. It looked pretty good. Bananas beat it pretty solidly at the end, and then Bananas played really well versus the Young Link, which was really surprising. I didn't see the army set, but I heard he won some crazy characters then. But I didn't see it. I mean, I don't know if he actually icy did him.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Army is not really the best at icy dittos. I feel like with the rise of a lot of the new ice climbers, I feel like they always have like one or two matchups that like if they play that character, they just lose. Like, I feel like if you
a little bit,
I feel like if you play like Army, like if Army plays against another ices, he just loses. Like kind of like that.
he doesn't have a good record versus the ones better than him, and versus the ones worst, he's been upset more times than. Yeah, no, I think ices are a really dangerous matchup for him. That's for sure.
Okay.
I would have done it if I were Axe.
Yeah. I mean, he has good secondaries. I think it's like definitely possible. So I guess according to chat, they went Axe Icy dittoed him game 3, and in game 1 and 2 he went Falco. I'm kind of curious why the Young Link never came out.
I think he's kind of done with the Young Link. I don't know what happened. I really can't speak to anything other than the game I saw. I know he likes to float a lot in airs past people a lot, and that's his favorite thing for some of the characters that he pulls Young Link on. Like the ones that gets CC down smashed, that will CC down smash the Pikachu a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed like Bananas really like hard called it and beat it very badly. I don't know. The game was close, but just some of the decision making, I don't know. Maybe he just kind of lost faith in it.
Yeah. And that kind of happens with Axe. You see it like with his Pikachu and other matchups, especially when he plays like Armada and Hungrybox. Like he gets so dejected sometimes. I guess looking into Losers Rec and how this kind of shaped up. You know, for the longest time, I've always said like Face Roll and Squid only show up at locals. Like I used to always tell like I think Fendrick Lamar is like the biggest like Face Roll and Squid hater because he's just like, man, I just don't see them performing at like majors. And granted, this is just like a glorified like mountain region local. I'm happy to see that they did show up, like because Captain Facial did beat Absent Page and Ginger, and those are pretty respectable wins. Mm-hmm. And Squid, despite strangely almost losing to Crunch, he beat Westballs and Bananas, which I think are pretty impressive wins with the trajectory that we have on Bananas. So what do you think? You know, you're also kind of a SoCalian. Like, what do you think about those two players?
I'm the opposite, but yeah, I do think that because of how much they play in SoCal, it's, I don't know, it doesn't exactly inflate it, but they've gotten to learn how to succeed in SoCal. Out of the two players, I think Face Roll is the one that I would pick before this tournament to have a big run. He's been showing up at majors, regionals, big wins are getting close to it a lot, whereas Squid gets upset a lot at the bigger tournaments. And he's had some solid regionals, but it's kind of like Fiction where you wonder if there's something missing for him to do something on the national stage.
Yeah.
But beating Westball solidly, being absolutely confident versus Bananas, possibly because of, well, I say this, I want to say because he plays Army a lot, he was confident, but it was different. I mean, we saw Fiction, and Fiction kind of crumpled under the pressure, and Squid stuck to the game plan, and I was really happy with what I saw from Squid. I'm sure Crunch just played really, really good.
Yeah. I think, like, Crunch is, like, low-key, like, almost good. Like, he has his matchups that he's, like, really good at. Like, I think, like, relative to his skill level, he's pretty good against Fox and Falco. But, like, he struggles against, like, the medium characters like Sheik and Marth and, like, Falcon. And he's good against, like, just floaties. So,
I'm surprised he 3-0'd Arcadia, honestly. Arcadia, I think, almost beat Ginger in winners. And beat Shiz earlier this year.
That's a NorCal Arcadia, right?
Yeah, that's you know, hashtag random NorCal Marth. But, yeah, you know, I saw that, and then I saw the 3-2, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
All right, Crunch.
Let's go. Watch him lose to, like, someone else random in, like, a week.
Yeah.
That's Melee in a nutshell. So,
that it is.
So that's the top half, you know, good stuff. Squid picking up, you know, where do you put Bananas personally right now?
Oh, God, I literally just have no idea. His neutral looks really good lately. I really don't know. I think regardless of how good ICs are at various parts of the skill set that maybe get neglected if you wobble a lot, I think they're a really volatile character. I have no idea where to put them. I think Summit's going to be crazy.
Okay, what if you're about to
really waffly answer.
Let's give a range, like, so I don't say like.
Oh, in the world?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Man, I don't know if I could do any better than like 30 to 50 right now.
Okay, but
And that's with like not counting the plup win as much as I should.
okay, so
So
but
it's not exactly fair. Yeah.
that's true. So I think like overall, like I think it's impressive for Squid. So like if Squid's like a 50 to 60 ish guy,
Mhm.
like I think those are pretty two solid out of region wins that he's been sorely lacking over like the years. So we've already went through X. Unfortunately, like I would have liked it to see like kind of a run between like the Utah and like Colorado people. Like I know Logos
Yeah.
and a few others, but they kind of
Tuesday
phased
and
out.
OKP played each other. Sorry, go ahead.
They kind of phased out where you kind of expected to, which is unfortunate. I would have loved to see a deeper run. In the bottom half of the bracket, we already talked about Army and Axe. That was a 30. And I'm going to kind of bring up a little bit of a controversial topic with the Wizzrobe Lucky, because that's been like the thing that's been brought up a lot. Like there's like 3 Reddit threads just solely talking about why don't TOs DQ people, and it's been a lot of chatter on social media. So I want to kind of hear like what you think about the Wizzy stalling.
So, one thing that I poked around a little bit, and there have been some conversations about it. I don't want to go too much into it, but Wizzy's girlfriend alluded to just Wizzy having some things to work through, and that he's trying to work through it on the mental side, which is causing maybe some of the patterns and the rituals that we see. That said, I mean, it's really negatively impacting a lot of parts of the tournament. I think the best thing to do is to make some sort of rule, have some sort of timer enforced, and for everyone to know that at every tournament, for every player, they can get put on the clock like that. And I think it helps him. From what I've talked to from other TOs, once you put him on the clock, he's generally pretty good about showing up to the match. So I think you make a concrete rule, and you enforce it on everyone.
Yeah, I think overall, like we have this like kind of like social expectation that like you generally are available. So I think it's where I think it's not fair is if you tell Wizzy that like, oh, you're gonna play your match within the next 45 minutes to an hour, but then you don't tell Wizzy specifically. And if Wizzy comes up late in those situations, I think I give a little bit of leeway because the firm expectation is not there. I think the issues I do have with Wizzrobe in particular are when you tell him, hey, you got to be here at this time. And like, let's say it's like 3 minutes from now, and for whatever reason, he just disappears for 20 minutes and then comes back. And after the 20 minutes, he ends up like spending another 10 minutes like on top of that. I'm exaggerating it a little bit, but I've seen that many times where I'm like, hey, Wizzy, you have a match next. And I've seen that verbal communication.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I don't know, like, it doesn't register for him for whatever it means. And then he ends up disappearing from the venue. I think that's where I have an issue with it.
I agree. I think Smashers are kind of like dogs, where they're sweet, but if you let them get away with stuff, they'll keep getting away with stuff. The part where Wizzy gets really kind of annoying is the mid-set stalling and the from sitting down to plugging everything in setup. Because, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think Face Roll and Wizzrobe have very similar setups, and Face Roll makes sure that he can set it up in like 10, 20 seconds. Wizzy does not.
Yeah. So maybe I'm fine with the sound check again, but I think there needs to be some sort of like, because if you look right, like if you're always late, let's say you're going to work and you're always late, right? You take preemptive measures to not get late, like you go beat traffic, you accommodate for certain things. Here, I just don't.
Manager will sit you down.
I don't see any kind of effort of him considering. I mean, he's young, so like he's probably never worked a real job, and he's probably not had many real. I mean, I think he was homeschooled. Like, not making fun of homeschooled, but like I feel like in general, like if you're homeschooled, you don't really have like firm strict schedules, and you're kind of on your own time. So maybe his background in growing up means that he doesn't have to set to his schedule. So maybe this is just an entirely new concept for him. But with that being said, because no one ever enforces it, there's no incentive from Wizzrobe's end. I don't think he catches the social nuance of why being late is bad. And I feel like you have to add personal punishment to enforce why being late is bad.
I agree, but with the nuance that I think he knows it's bad, and I think there's something that
I actually don't
is preventing him from doing it.
I actually don't think he's aware.
That's possible too.
If
That's
I'm
possible.
going to bet, like he might know it like on an intellectual level that it's bad, but I don't know if he empathizes with the fact that he's late and that people are annoyed that he's late.
Yeah.
That's where I stand. I could be off on that, but that's my assumption. You have your assumption, probably equally merited, but my gut tells me that he probably has zero empathy for why people would be frustrated at him being late.
Right. And I get why you think for sure. Right. I think this might go down an interesting path when we see enforcement and the discussion happen, and we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, I think as long as they're
Yeah.
very clear about the time and the expectation on Wizzy, then Wizzy
Mhm.
knows that if he's not there by X time, if he's late, then he's DQ'd. I think that's very fair. But until
Right.
then, I don't think many TOs have that expectation. It's like, hey, Wizzy, if you're not here by 6:04, you will be DQ'd.
So I agree with that. So what would you think of the situation where, if Wizzrobe's girlfriend was right, let's say does have some form of obsessive compulsive disorder, and he really just can't do it. What do we do?
Well, I mean, you play around that, right? It's just like the schedule.
Yeah.
It's just like having traffic, right? If you have OCD or something, I'm not saying he does for sure, then you start your routine. If you know that you have to start at 6:04 and it takes you 12 minutes to get through that routine, then you start at 5:52, knowing that you will get ready at 6:04.
Mhm.
Like,
I agree. I think it's part of being a competitor. That's unfortunate, but he should have to. I agree.
I think everybody has their rituals. Like Mango's thing is that he likes to chew gum and use the bathroom for whatever reason right before a set starts. Like, I mean, I think a lot of players have preset. I think PPU and SFAT have preset rituals. I think a lot of people do, and I don't think. And I wouldn't. I would imagine that if PPU didn't go through his kind of mindset ritual before a set, he probably wouldn't feel playing that he's playing optimally. But he plans around the time that he's ready by the time the TO calls him, and I think that's a big difference.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, there's showing up, but there have been a lot of situations where, as you said, Wizzrope's told he has to play, and he disappears, and he goes back to the hotel room, and we'll see. We'll see what happens versus Army. Army said if he stalls me at all, I will wobble into 300 every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think part of it's on Wizzy, definitely. I actually think the majority of this is on Wizzy, but we deal with
Mhm.
interactions where the assumptions we make about social interactions, where it's like we should be on time. I don't think everyone's gonna necessarily understand those kind of social etiquette. I also think TOs are to blame here. I think how far back do you go to the melee tournaments? You're pretty old school, right?
Oh God, and pretty much my first ones were like 2013, 2014. I just remember Juggle Guy being the guy where he'll DQ people and that, tilted the social needle. I also remember SoCal tournaments that started, 2 hours late to open up the venue or something like that.
Yeah. So I think like TOs because back when we had like 30-man locals, if we started an hour late, not a big deal. We still finished at like 7 or 8 o'clock.
Right.
But back then, for you guys that are a little bit newer to the scene, enforcement, even just on top players, but on anyone in general, is really poor. So Apex, like the old Apex series, even Genesis to this extent, like people would come late all the time and the TOs wouldn't do anything. So it created this really bad culture where everyone would come late, tournaments would run late. And for whatever reason, this is kind of the funny kicker clause, is that players would complain both things. Why did I get DQ'd, and why is this tournament getting late? Like, you can't have both, the best of both worlds, where you're not allowed to be DQ'd for getting late, but also blame the TO for the tournament running late. So Jogo Guy, as you alluded to, was one of the first TOs to really enforce and live up to the word of like, hey, I will DQ you if you do not show up. And it's kind of funny because being Mango's manager, and you know how Jogo Guy would run Big House and like DreamHacks and SmashCon, Mango was actually like intimidated by Jogo Guy, and Mango would be like, "Hey, can you ask Jogo Guy like what I need to do? I'm scared of him." But he got his message across, and like for Jogo Guy tournaments, if you come late, although it's like a little more lax because things scaled up, and it's not as good as in the enforcement. But there was like a certain period where like Big House 3 to 5 happened, and you would be running to the venue knowing that if you're late, you're out of the tournament.
I mean, what was the last tournament to really DQ a top player for just straight up being late? Was it Press Start?
Wow, that's a really long time ago.
I know. It's so It's a really long time ago, but they started showing up, I think.
Yeah, I think the idea, the threat needs to be there, right? And unfortunately, one person has to be the example of like the person's like, oh shit, they actually DQ'd this guy.
Hmm. But the messed up part was, I think a lot of people, like I remember a rookie said, the only reason I showed up today was to play Mango and Winners, and now I just feel like this is pointless. But that's Mango's fault. And then people lost to Mango and Losers really early, like Hacks, who was driven by Mango. But again, Mango's fault.
That was Hack's Money's fault.
Oh,
He wanted Chipotle.
never...
He wanted last minute Chipotle, and that made them all late.
But like, if you think about it, 99% of the time he's done that, he hasn't gotten DQ'd. So it's a pretty good risk, right?
Yeah, I ended up.
That's why it's so important to enforce the culture. But go ahead.
I ended up being a benefactor because I think I had SUJ in winners.
Oh yeah.
So I made it to the second round.
Woo! Let's go, Tafo.
Let's go, me. Benefiting from other people. So overall, like, aside from like SoCal, Face Roll, and Squid like making a few upsets, I don't think this was like. I think we could have reasonably guessed most of this bracket. Would you agree with me?
Yeah. Squid for sure. I don't know. I think Losers actually got really murky for me. But as far as it goes, nothing was absolutely crazy. I thought Army beating West was a baby upset based on how they did in the last week. The rest of it, nothing really stood out. I thought R2 Delu had a good win at some point, but I'd have to take a look at that again. Oh yeah, I thought Fizz getting 25th was not what I would expect from someone that good.
Who did he lose to in winners? Oh, it's kind of tough.
He lost fourth seed or something.
He lost to Zayn and R2D, so it's like not.
That's disgusting. Yeah,
for 25th.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna have to kind of question the seeding. I feel like 25th is like you didn't really do anything this tournament run. Just looking at the sea of players that got 25th.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. Because these are the times that I would want to see Fizz. At something remotely close to his region.
But he
didn't get to. Perfect Chaos, I think, got 33rd. Logos got 17th. And like you give him Axe, but that's the problem, right? When you don't have a lot of people entering from the scene, there's this huge drop off to people that have traveled there and are like top 100. And the best people in a region.
Yeah. I think the thing that also sucks with this is like when you're just on the cusp of being good, like you play the guy that's seated like 128th and then you play Armada next round. And you're like, oh, that sucks. And then you play the guy that finished like seated 97th-ish, give or take. You beat them, and then you play the guy that's like KGH level. And then that's your bracket. Like you play one or two matches, and like unfortunately there's like it's like saying like you want to bench press like 90 pounds. It's like, oh yeah, that's easy. Oh, we're gonna give you a 250 pound bench press. Oh, you failed, and like you really don't know like where they kind of fall. It's like, is Fizz like, can Fizz lift 90? Yeah, he can. He can't lift 250, but we don't know anything in between that.
Yeah, I think he had one set where he could reasonably demonstrate his ability, and that was it. And that's always really not fun to walk away from a tournament feeling you didn't have any agency.
Yeah. It's a terrible feeling. I remember that Johnny. Remember the stretch where Johnny just played Armada second round of winners like every tournament?
It was bullying, like him, and then there was the Plup era after that,
where it's so silly.
Yeah, it was a lot of bad stuff going on. Yeah, someone in chat actually just brought up Mega Xmas actually just flew out to play 3 people that he plays all the time. He played Mike Hayes. He played Gumi, who now lives in SoCal and is, I think, on the same team, and then lost a face roll.
Good shit.
That was a TMT for him. Yeah.
Hey, Mega Xmas. You beat Gumi, lost a face roll. You can play them next Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so speaking of all this, other than that, I really don't know too much that was like particularly special. It was a rather vanilla bracket, other than face roll and Squid overperforming than what I would normally think.
Yeah.
Last question for this section of this portion of the bracket: buying or selling Absent Page?
Oh, right now? Ah, jeez. You see, I've been on the sell train for a little bit because but then he had
that one tournament.
Yeah, he just got 7th at something. He just beat Chu. I was happy with it. I'm a hold.
Okay, you're a hold. I'm still buying.
I just have no idea.
I'm still buying the Absent Page stock.
Yeah,
But
that guy's crazy.
it is a little alarming that he can beat SCJ, Chu, and a bunch of other players, and then lose to a bunch of players too.
Yeah, 3-0ing OKP is pretty actually good because you have obscure Pikachu, you're a Fox. I don't know what character he went. So a little bit of danger in those, right?
Yeah,
Where we don't give him credit if he wins, and we definitely pay attention if he loses.
I was a victim of that in like my whole career.
Yeah,
Like, I beat Azen, who just beat Chu and Shellin. Nothing is said, but if Azen beat me, it's like, oh my gosh, like Azen's the best. Like,
yeah. And then you're washed. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
the option select, like I call it. So we're gonna move on to top 8, which is like the interesting part. We can go a little bit more in depth because we have time. We're gonna start with the SoCal special, Squid versus Face Roll. Now I don't have the Tuesday offhand. Do you know if both of them? I know for a fact that Squid goes to those Tuesday mode trainings. I don't think Face Roll goes. One of the two don't really go anymore.
They all go to every tournament. Face Roll just got a job in Irvine, which means he can go to less stuff that he has to leave early for, but he can go to a lot in general. Please tell me you have their head. Is it really 21-8?
It might be more. That's why I'm kind of skeptical, but to my knowledge,
That seems like you're missing like 50, 70, 105 sets or something.
But to be fair, I've like kind of looked at the recent Tuesday mode trainings, and maybe this is where we can verify. But I've looked at the recent Tuesday mode trainings, and one of the Squid and Face Roll don't show up.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those things where I just watch them play so much that I start forgetting like who's winning and who's losing and like what time is anymore. I like start calling my parents because I think Face Roll and Squid have hung out more than I've seen my entire family this year. And I get kind of sad and distracted, but I guess Face Roll really is whooping Squid lately.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because like I know prior to 2015, and this isn't all inclusive by any means. Like Squid, from my knowledge, usually used to beat Squid, or Squid used to beat Face Roll prior, in like 2014 and 2015. So
yeah, whenever, especially 14. Yeah.
That's kind of pretty interesting. Like, I'm not concluding that this is the exact closed data between the two, but it looks like Face Roll's won the last 9 of 10 tournaments.
Let's go, Griffin.
Oh, UCI weeklies haven't happened until probably recently because of the fact that UCI is not doing stuff. They just started school like a month ago, so I'm actually going to lightly look and cheat to see if they've been playing in those brackets.
They do.
Okay, so they've definitely been playing in the weeklies, which I haven't included. So at UCI Weekly 58, they played. Face Roll won. Squid won 57. So there is, still like a handful of brackets that haven't been included, which means I have to remind Ludwig that that's not an all closed set. So Face Roll and Squid literally play like every week, but it seems like Face Roll's like won most of the events, so that's pretty interesting that it's kind of this like one-sided.
They play so much. I can't say that enough. But yeah, I still feel like whoever's playing better today. Maybe slight advantage Face Roll prior to that. I don't know.
I think
the loser of they have the loser of HBox Zane, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we think any of them have a chance against Zane or HBox?
Honestly, I watched Zane whoop Face Roll so bad that I know Face Roll learned from it, but it was still like the craziest ass beating I've seen. Like a Marth give a good Sheik over multiple sets.
So like, how bad was it?
It was like Face Roll would almost win, and Zane would dare him 7 times. It was wild. I don't know.
Damn.
I was insanely impressed. I really think they have almost no chance. I think Squid has significantly lower chances. I think Face Roll has a shot in 20.
Okay. So we both agree it's pretty lopsided. At what point, just to kind of contextualize this more, do you start thinking about making the bet? If I told you you can bet $1, and if Squid wins, you get 50, would you take that bet against Zane?
Oh, against Zane?
Yeah.
Well, I think this is a bad answer, but the way that I think about like absurdly strange events in Melee, like I think the probability that Zane just plays absolutely off today maybe dominates what I think Squid and Zane would typically do.
Okay, let's change it
And so I'm
to
kind of I'm betting
$10.
on the tail risk. Yeah,
What
I
would?
wouldn't take 10.
Okay, so you believe then and there that Zane has at least like a 91% shot at winning.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, would you take $19?
Would I take? Would I take? You're saying 95% or something like
Yeah.
that? I might give you 39.
You might. So you think it's like a 97.5%.
Yeah, at least.
Okay, let's play the same thought experiment for face roll versus Zane. Let's say you're betting $1. I bet we'll start this at $19.
Right.
Would you take that?
I'll
bet?
take. I hate that I'm saying it, but no, I think it's possible that face roll plays very well and Squid play and then Zane plays in the range of chic behavior that we've seen him as low points.
Right.
So like the loss to Swedish or something. I take 15-1. I take 14.
Okay. So in the standard deviation curves of the two players with like their overall skill and standard deviation being like their fluctuations in skill, you see an overlap between those two.
Yeah, I see that as a more reasonable. Plus, you get the little matchup boost. Plus, if he lost to HBox already, there's already a prior that helps.
Got it.
You know, like if he's losing to HBox, I'm not sure exactly what that tells me, but it means face roll's got a shot, and if face roll wins, that means he's got a shot. You know,
all right.
I think I'd take that.
We're gonna kind of skip around because Mango's in the chat.
Oh, what's up, Mango?
We're gonna talk about more matchup, like what we think the two players need to be doing. Macaroni, literally, it's on the top right of the overlay.
To be fair, I didn't notice it.
So Mango and SFAT, it's been pretty interesting. Mango, SFAT, always trained with each other. SFAT did have that 1 year where he won more sets against Mango than Mango won against SFAT.
That's wild.
Remember, it was Clutch City Smash. Mango's gonna probably complain about the tournament.
Shine too, right?
Yeah, that was the one where like Mango won that set like 5-0, or 4-1, but got shined like a ridiculous amount of times.
Game 5 was really sad.
Game 5 was really terrible. Like,
yeah,
that was just so demoralizing. SFAT for putting Mango in the position where he tilted Mango. They've had some, close sets. I think Mango SFAT at Full Bloom was a Game 5. Is that correct? Yeah, it was. Mango wasn't really playing that well until he got to Leffen.
I think Mango beat the wheels off SFAT at Shine, if I remember right.
It was really bad.
It was really rough. It was I don't think SFAT punished too well. I thought SFAT played his game really well. Game 2 of Evo, their set. I think he like 2 or 3 stocked him pretty cleanly.
Yeah, I think SFAT has like. I think the one thing that SS told me is that he's really working on the Falco matchup. So I think he's like kind of the labbing on like a lot of neutral interactions. But I think my worry. So I think SFAT does have. I hate to use this word for CLG, but like the quote unquote potential to win this. I just don't. I think it really comes down to like how stubborn Mango is, like because like SFAT likes to just hold shield and do shine on shield stuff, and likes to full hop a lot, and that can be really frustrating to deal with as Falco. So if like SFAT jumps like 4 times in a row and full hops and like nairs, and like Mango gets hit by it over and over again, and Mango kind of gets into this headspace of like, well, like SFAT's like stupid, like I can't believe he's just spamming this one option, and he doesn't just adapt to it, like and he keeps trying to fight it. Then like I can see a world where SFAT wins. Couple that with like a couple good punishes and a couple of early shine gimps, and like I could see this going to SFAT. Now with that being said, I don't see SFAT like you see this with like SFAT when he's like just outclassed by a better player. Like he can like make fights and he can win like for small portions at a time, but I don't really see him winning a best of 5 like against like a player that just outclasses him, like a Leffen or a Mako or even a Zane at this point.
I mean, I'm trying to remember the last Zane set I saw with SFAT. It was really, really close, I thought.
No.
Really? Was that one really bad?
No. So there was one set that was really close, and we're going to just bring out the stats for you.
What was the SoCal one?
Big House, that was the roast. That was a Game 5. And
that was the roast, okay.
But Big House 8 was not close.
Big House 8 was pretty bad.
Smash and Splash.
But I think more of these are close than we remember.
Some of out of the last 5 sets, it's been pretty rough.
Yeah, all right. These all look pretty bad.
Yeah, I feel like he epitomizes Fox, the Fox life.
It's rough.
So let's go back, actually, since Mango's not in this chat anymore. I think for Squid and Catherine Face Roll, if we're going to analyze this from like a gameplay standpoint, I think it's very clear that Squid and Face Roll have easily played each other a ton of times. I think they have pretty distinct game plans and how they want to play the character matchup. They probably know the habits of each other. I think it really comes down to execution and punish game. I think that's if Face Roll is able to get 50% damage a grab, I think he's good shape. I think if Squid can control neutral, not get gimped, then I think he can win this. But I overall, like I've said this opinion a lot, I think Sheik has a way easier time executing in this matchup than Falco, because Falco has to initiate with good shield pressure, and anytime he messes up, it could be a grab or near out of shield. Whereas there are a lot of openings for Sheik that can lead into like gimp, a kill, or like 60 damage.
I agree. I wonder who's going to be more composed. I think this is the biggest stage they've played on easily.
I would have to give this to Face Roll in terms of composure, because like I think he's traveled a bit more and he's been more comfortable traveling out of region than Squid has. Like Face Roll being, in the Midwest, being in SoCal, like I think he's more comfortable playing high level non SoCal matches than Squid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited to see this one, and one of the boys makes it a fifth at the very least. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, definitely. So let's see if Face Roll continues the trend. Honestly, even though it's like a 21-8, or it's probably like 25-11 more realistically, like I think it's going to be closer than the set counts indicate.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to see Squid winning.
Me neither. Okay, Wizzrobe Army. Is this where your SoCal bias comes in?
Yeah, a little bit, because I'm always imagining, I'm like, well, Army could do it. Army beats Johnny sometimes, and he beat Gatsu the last time, but I think Wizzrobe has beaten him either every time or they haven't played very often.
They've only played like once. All right.
It's only once? Yeah, that sounds right.
Let me look here. We're going to look at the history of Wizzrobe in Ice Climbers. So I'm looking within the last year. Maybe I need to extend it.
I think he lost to Bananas, but may have whooped everyone generally.
1-0 against Army. I don't think he's ever played Bananas, because I don't think he's traveled to any of like the Texas Dream Hacks or anything like that.
You really never do it? Okay. I just remember Bananas beating a shit ton of Falcons, and maybe I mixed up which one was.
I think he beat Gatsu, Johnny, and None.
That sounds right.
All right, I'm looking for Ice Climbers here. So he beat Fork, but that was like within the last 2 years, so probably not a relevant data point anymore.
Yeah.
I'm kind of trying to look here over the last 2 years.
Cool. Got him going down.
He's 2-1 against Chu over the last like 2 years or so. Not a terrible relevant point. So I think all in all, like, I don't think there's relevant data points. Like, I don't really recall Wizzy playing against Ice Climbers like recently.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember it. I thought, that was already too long ago to really think about when he played Shu at Genesis 4. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Army has improved once again at the matchup, but I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Wizzrobe literally just 3-0s him easy.
I think the issue I kind of have here is you kind of see this with like Wizzrobe versus Lucky. Like Lucky tries to keep going in, and Wizzrobe just has the right out of shield answer to like contend with Lucky's pressure every time. And I can imagine just like playing against a Wizzy that just kind of like full hops and slow falls and just like reacts to like any kind of approach is like really, really oppressive to deal with as Ice Climbers. But who knows? Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's Army struggles in those situations when somebody's either outpatiencing him or luring him into the corner. Fiction does that a lot to him, where he'll just stand in the corner and full hop, and Army will run at him, and Fiction will just shine the back and kill Nana, and that's it.
Yeah, I've actually like seen that a lot. It looks really rough sometimes. But so I think here, like, I think it really comes down to, like, can you do the little character things correctly in Falcon Ices? Like, if you get an opening, like, can you kill Nana in, like, 3 moves? And if the answer is no, then I think that leads into a lot of rough situations where you're working a lot harder than you need to be doing.
I agree, but Wizzy is a machine. I can't see him not killing Nana. I can't see him not executing correctly.
Actually, like, the issue I have with Wizzy is that his, like, there are situations where like none gets like a knee follow up or like a confirm, and then none immediately goes for the knee follow up, whereas Wizzy doesn't. Like there are many situations where I see him play against other characters where like I'm like, okay, this is a knee, and then Wizzy doesn't go out in knee.
He'll just up air.
Like no, he just won't go out.
Oh, huh.
Like he'll like.
But it's ices. I mean, they're just. I think he will just literally knee every squall.
I think he. I mean, I think he could, but I think there are also like many question marks I have for Wizzy. Like, if he gets a stomp, does he know like to just strong hit rather than like up air? Like in certain situations.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I want to pull for Army here, but I think Wizzy's heavy favorite. I think this is the worst matchup out of anyone he could have played that's still alive by a lot.
Yeah. Well, Hungrybox.
Yeah. Oh yeah, in losers that is.
Yeah.
Like losers round
he would
one.
be loving it to play Squid or Captain Face right now.
Yeah, that would be great. Is this the first time after Shine HBox has played Zane at all, let alone HBox has gone to lab into it for days and days?
I believe the answer is yes. They haven't played since Shine.
Yeah. Sorry, did you want to move on? Or did
yeah,
you not
let's
want to
move on. I think Wizzrobe 3-1. I just think this is like the unfortunate reality that what was it? That Wizzy's going to lab more, and Wizzy labbing versus Army labbing is probably going to benefit Wizzy labbing. Let's go to Hungrybox versus Zane. Zane, finally getting on the board against Hungrybox. Prior to that, Hungrybox had an 8-set win streak, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah. Let's go Zane though.
So I think to your point, I think that's really important to factor in is the fact that Hungrybox had literally probably 14 hours or so to realize, probably even longer, with how when the moment Zane beat Wizzrobe, on Hungrybox's mind, he probably was thinking, okay, I know I'm playing Zane next.
Yeah, he didn't have to play him straight after. I think the mix-up of Zane or Wizzrobe would have kept him on his toes. I mean, the thing I'm looking for, the thing that everyone blurs in chat, and we're just saying what happens when Zane F-throws him. Does he do the DI mix-up? Does he crouch and just let Zane grab him over and over again at point-blank range? What's the mix-up? Is he ready?
I think the big thing here is that if Zane gets a couple of kills, and I think this is the low-key adjustment that kind of happened as a consequence of Zane landing those early pivot kills, was you notice as the set went on, Hungrybox did not want to stay on the ground anymore next to, anywhere close to Zane.
That's good.
And I think the fact that happened made it way easier for Zane to play the fair and up air game and the up tilt game. And Hungrybox just had a really hard time getting in at that point, because if his starting point is always going to be really high, he's eventually going to have to find a way to maneuver and approach Zane from up above, whereas he usually kind of starts from the ground and then kind of goes in gradually. And if you take away the fact that he can't approach from the ground anymore, it makes the game so much easier for Zane.
I like the way that he was swatting HBox instead of trying to grab HBox when I watched them play.
I think the mix-ups are going to be important here, like you said. And I think in addition to that, I think PPMD and a few others mentioned this as well, was the fact that off of straight hits, Zane was getting a lot more bang for his buck. He was adding 3 to 4 hits, and I think that makes a huge difference. He would get fair up air, nair up air or something like that. I don't even know if that happened. Or he'd get the down throw mix up a bunch of times. Wait for an F throw something. So getting more than the swat was really big. I agree with you. I think the first tournament when you play a non-god versus a quote-unquote god is the surprise. It's oh, you did it. I think the true test comes in, can you win the run back? At a different tournament. Granted, Zane did technically win the run back at Shine, but that was the same tournament. But I think that once a top tier player puts you on notice and they respect that, hey, you can beat me, that's when the true test comes out.
This is the situation where Zane has to prove it. If he wins this time, it's unbelievable.
Agreed. I think, but if I were to, bet on this, I think Zane has a decent chance, but to be honest, if I were to put a book on it, despite the fact that Zane won the last 2 sets, I would say Hungrybox is about a 2-1 favorite or a 3-2 favorite in this.
I was about to say, I'd take Zane on anything. If you're giving me implied odds on Zane less than 30%, I'd probably take Zane.
Yeah. But 40 to 33%, I would kind of have to think about it
Yeah, but that's exciting. I mean, that's a very good number.
I mean, it is concerning. Like, who else would you put in kind of that category that could just straight up beat Hungrybox that often? It's like Armada, who's retired. I wouldn't even give Leffen those odds, even though
I
Leffen
wouldn't give Leffen those odds.
definitely not Mingo,
Yeah.
not
Hold
Jason.
on a sec. I gotta grab the charger. For some reason, my mouse doesn't work when it's in like battery saving mode. I'll be back in a sec.
All right. What do you guys think, chat? Press one. Let's say the betting odds are 3-2, meaning that which side of the coin would you guys take if it was 3-2 Hungrybox favored?
Yeah.
Press one if you think Hungrybox is favored in a 3-2 setting, or if you'd bet on Zane in a 3-2 odds setting.
Hey man, they'll come back. Oh. All right, should be good.
Okay, cool. I think this also kind of brings up. We usually talk about Hungrybox as the final boss, like kind of thing, and like how like the other player does. But I think to give Hungrybox credit, a large part of this is just like how Hungrybox, like it's really hard to beat Hungrybox consistently, and that's to Hungrybox's credit that he does adapt and change his game plan like from tournament to tournament. And that there's only a handful of people throughout Hungrybox's career that like would just murder Hungrybox tournament after tournament after tournament, and that doesn't seem to happen as much anymore.
I mean, we had Mango. We had our years.
We had our Mango. Yikes. Okay, so I'm gonna bet my money on Hungrybox, which leads to a Hungrybox Mango potential rematch, or Zane Mango if you are a Zaner.
I want to see both. I really want to see both. Blur in chat says Zane is bad at the slicing moves.
He's saying that he's average at the slicing moves. He's a 6.
Oh yeah, he's got him at a 6. 6 is good. Well, Prime Blur is like 15.
Prime Blur
It's got to be lower than average. I've seen Prime Blur. It's 15.
So it's going to be interesting here if we go through this situation where Mango plays against Hungrybox. Hasn't looked pretty,
Nope.
to say the least. 1-4, 5-6, 8-11, which doesn't really tell the full picture here, because if you look at the last 10 sets, Mango's only won. Hungrybox is 9-1.
Oh.
In the last 10.
And the other one was in pools.
And the only non-pool tournament that Mango has beaten Hungrybox in, the last time that's ever happened was Evo 2017, which was like 15 months ago, give or take.
Oh.
And to add insult to injury, the last 2 sets between Hungrybox and Mango have been 30s.
They just look like HBox wins whenever he wants. He lets Mango play, and then Mango gets one.
No, not like this.
Oh my god, he's gonna get 9-0'd.
Is he gonna get 9-0'd?
He can't. No.
Those Shine the Shine games were so tragic. Mango like had the lead in like all those games, and it would just get rested on the last stock. But that's that's like that could be Mango making a mistake or Hungrybox saving a last minute read to get that last kill, right?
I think everyone has been sarcastically calling every floaty clutch box when they either up the rest or wobble or do something.
Clutch box, it's become a meme.
you just always say like SFAT, last stock of winners finals and teams SDs, clutch box.
So here's the thing. So I watched I investigated a bit more. I did a short video on it on like Mango and Hungrybox, like just like what can Mango do differently. If you actually take a timer, or like, how like, let's say like PPMD is like dash dance meter, like the number of times he's willing to dash dance is like 15 before he's willing to commit to something stupid, or like commit to something and go like, screw it, I'm just going to run in. Mango throughout the set had like 2 distinct modes. It's like just run in or dash dance once.
Oh no.
It was like a really bad cadence. So like if you just like took a timer to like, when is Mango just going to run at Hungrybox? There were some times where Mango would play a little bit more patient, but you knew he was going to come in eventually. And the zone that Mango was targeting was consistently the same. And so I figured that, like, when Hungrybox said he figured out Mango, I think it was those portions. Like, is Mango going to undershoot, overshoot, or hit him where he's at? And at kind of what point, how many dash dances in the timing rhythm is it going to take for Mango to attack? And it was largely very predictable.
Hey, 0 and 1 is a mix-up. Those are two different numbers. He's got an option. Man, that doesn't sound good when you say that.
Yeah. So it's gonna be interesting. I think one of the big adjustments also is that when Mango would go for an overshoot, Hungrybox would just walk towards Mango and throw a hitbox at him. And so like it kept Mango's overshoot and his running approaches in check. And I think once he disabled that, like Mango really didn't figure out what he needed to do, like to like counter Hungrybox's kind of defensive zoning. So I'm hoping that there's a little bit more nuance here, like. But who knows? In an ideal scenario, what I would love to see is Falco FD game 1 or Falco Fountain game 1, and then you throw the Fox away on Dreamland, or you throw Puff.
Okay.
You throw Fox or Puff on Dreamland.
Is he really gonna do it?
No, he's absolutely not. I've told him this.
He
Like
would never-
I've told him. I've told him this like every time. So you play Falco game 1, you're gonna either get Fountain or FD. Just with how this counterpicking works. Hungrybox is probably going to ban Yoshi's. Mango's going to ban Dreamland.
Okay.
And Mango's probably going
You don't get to ban him. Oh, you're talking about the strikes.
Yeah.
He's starting Falco?
If he did, and how it would play out is
Oh, okay,
Hungrybox
yeah.
Strikes Yoshi's, Mango strikes Battle, and Dreamland. Hungrybox most likely strikes Fountain because he doesn't like Fountain, but he's okay with Fountain. Mango's okay with Fountain, and then you play FD.
Okay.
And if you win that match, most likely Dreamland. And then you just sacrifice Fox or Puff. Or if you win with Fox, then you pretty much win the set. And then from there, game 3, if Mango gets counterpick, he has a lot of options here. He can go Falco Yoshi's, he can go Falco Stadium. You can throw a Fox in there. And then you can play the set out constantly switching characters. So Hungrybox doesn't get a feel for rhythm.
If he gets CP to Dreamland game 5, what does he go, Fox or Falco?
How does that happen?
I don't know. I'm thinking about if he gets CP to Dreamland, period, right?
Yeah, you play Fox and you sacrifice the matchup, and then you go back to Falco the next game.
Then you go back to Falco the next game. If he loses game 1 on FD, then do you go Fox FD at any point?
You could. But if he loses Falco FD, then he's kind of fucked anyway, so...
Yeah. Like, if he goes Falco FD, would he go Falco Yoshi's, or would he go straight to Fox?
You can go Fox Yoshi's. I think it's a doable matchup. I think Mango played those matchups stupid, like, and those are all very winnable. Or you go, and at any point if the Fox gets too comfortable or Hungrybox starts getting the Fox, then you play Falco. You can play Falco Yoshi's or Falco Stadium, and those are pretty good matchups.
I like this idea that he would really just keep him off balance the whole time and just play both spaces.
I mean, you kind of saw that at Shine that one time where he played Falco, and then the Fox immediately came out, and then Hungrybox wasn't used to the tempo of the Fox. But overall, a few more lasers and like more varied approaches would work instead of these like kind of rather binary situations. It's almost like Mewtwo King-esque, like where if Mewtwo King's like kind of camping the ledge, like he comes up, he'll just randomly just run up forward smash or run up dash attack, and like it's always one of those two things. Like, I think he needs more nuanced like mix-ups because I think Hungrybox has figured out a lot of Mango's.
He's got to play better in neutral.
Yeah. Mango Zane. I think Mango could do a few little things. Definitely doable.
Yeah.
I thought that Shine set was very doable. Just got him, and it's hard because it's like kind of playing like a better Ice Climbers. I feel like when you're playing Falco against Zane Smart, like if you get grabbed or you get thrown off the stage, you're dead. We just gotta minimize that. We just gotta minimize this.
Yeah.
Okay. So
you can't throw away stocks, but Zane has gotten so much better at that matchup.
Yeah, he was trash at it like a year ago. Now very respectable.
It's crazy. Mango kind of trained him in it, right?
They used to play like at a lot of tournaments. They used to play for like an hour and a half, like back and forth a lot. So we're not going to go through every matchup, but assuming Wizzy wins, okay, let's kind of run through losers. We both probably agree that SFAT loses, and we get Wizzrobe versus SFAT.
Yeah, and then Wizzrobe probably wins that straight up.
You got to do my boy like that?
Yeah, I mean, it is a problem Falcon for him.
SFAT did win the last set.
Oh, yeah. Good job, SFAT. I don't know. In a world where he talks to Fiction, and Fiction explains why he thinks Wizzrobe is bad. Maybe. Wait, that can't be the last set. Oh, yeah, no, it was. There we are. Really? That was the last time they played?
Yeah, they haven't really encountered each other in a good while.
Yeah,
And
huh.
then we're assuming face roll wins. We're just gonna take that just for discussion points, and then we're gonna say
Sure.
Zane just whips him.
That Zane whoops him, and then we have Zane Wizzrobe again.
Ooh, let's go. I think
Okay, so what I see happening is that Wizzrobe wins, loses to Mango, Mango loses to HBox.
we can go with that.
Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate, right?
Yeah, which means
Everyone's getting
we get robbed
engaged.
of we get robbed of Mango Zane. Probably.
We get robbed of a lot actually if that plays out. That's my least favorite version, I think.
Did you watch League of Legends or hear about the League of Legends narrative?
Not the narrative. I definitely watched the K-pop video.
Okay, so TLDR, all the Korean teams got eliminated, but there was still one Chinese team left in semis, and we're thinking of all the permutations of like Europe versus NA, and like finally a Western team wins it, and then the Chinese team just shat on the two European teams to win the whole thing.
That I did remember or hear about.
That's Hungrybox winning.
Yeah.
In a nutshell. So, is that your prediction?
It's my sad prediction, and by sad, it's just totally biased on matchups I want to see. Let me think about that some more. Yeah, no, I think if you made me pick the bracket absolutely with, just picking the highest probability thing to have happen. Hey guys, there's the counter. But yeah, no, I think that's the most likely outcome. Mango beats SFAT, HBox beats Zane, HBox beats Mango. Wizzy beats SFAT, beats Zane, loses to Mango, pretty bad, and then Mango loses to HBox, and that's it. That's almost the least entertaining version that I would say. But
that's a brain pick, right?
That's the brain pick. But ways that get stopped: SFAT beats Wizzrobe, Zane beats Wizzrobe, Zane beats HBox, SFAT beats Mango. All those are not unbelievable.
What about Army winning this entire tournament?
Oh yeah, Army's gonna win the whole tournament. Oh, let's go back to his bracket.
Actually, there's no way that can happen because he's gonna run.
Oh, he can win.
No,
he can't.
Wait, no. There's a random world where
Squid has to beat.
Hungrybox.
Faceroll has to beat HBox.
Faceroll has to beat HBox for this to happen.
Yeah, HBox has to lose to Zane and Captain Faceroll, and then Army can win the tournament.
Dude, Squid can win this tournament.
Squid, I don't think can win the tournament. Zane is. He can dodge. No, he can't dodge Zane. If you assume that Squid can't beat Zane ever, because that's the one thing stopping him from winning this tournament.
What if somebody injured Zane's hands?
Oh, I mean, I'm not gonna go. I can't even remember either of the women's ice skating or women's tennis situations where this happened.
So, would you spend $2 if you spend $2 on the Mega Lotto when it was 1.6 billion, or you're gonna bet some ridiculous odds on Squid winning? Which one would you rather bet on?
Squid winning.
Okay.
Definitely Squid winning. Because that's let me think. SFAT could.
No, SFAT can't win this.
Somehow SFAT can't win.
Okay. Let's compile the odds here, right? We're gonna just do a fun. We're gonna turn into Hugo and make a Google Sheets decision tree, right?
Okay.
We're gonna turn into Hugo Gonzalez. Okay. There's gonna be kind of a. What are the odds of this happening?
What, Squid winning?
Or SFAT beating Mango?
Oh, SFAT beating Mango? Let's say 5. Let's say 10% because I don't know how drunk Mango's right now.
Okay.
A lot of things up in the air.
So 90% SFAT winner finals. The other scenario is SFAT in losers.
Yeah, so he's 10% of winners, 90% of losers.
Okay.
And
what are the odds we give Wizzrobe versus Army?
Oh, 75-25 Wizzy. And that's probably aggressive for Army, honestly.
Okay, we'll do 80-20.
Let's do 80-20.
Army. What are the odds that SFAT beats Wizzrobe?
Better than the last
30%?
Yeah, let's say 30%. Let's be nice to SFAT today.
Beating Army.
Actually, pretty good. I actually don't know if Army has
70%?
anywhere close to a good record. Yeah, let's say 80.
Okay, so far in these three scenarios, we have 10% chance that SFAT makes it to winners, and then we have 0.9 times 0.8 times 0.3. 20, and then we have...
Oh, it's the other way.
Wait, what do you...
Oh, wait, no, because it's... Yeah, right. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, we have this other scenario where it's this times this times this. If we combine that, there is a...
It's the other branches, yeah.
So for SFAT to even make it to this point, it's 34%. To make it to...
This is winners finals or losers semis.
A combined 44% of him making winners finals or losers semis.
Yeah, that's...
Okay, if he plays Hungrybox or Zane. We assume Face Rolled and Squid have like an almost 0% chance just for math of beating Hungrybox or Zane.
Okay. Yeah, let's make it easy. Verse HBox 5%.
That's kind of generous. That's kind of generous, but keep going.
Yeah, verse Zane. Like, I'm being really generous here. Like, Zane 10%, HBox 5% are both pretty generous.
Okay, we're gonna say 7% chance of winning versus HBox or Zane.
Okay, yeah. I mean that's that, and I think that's like an order of like maybe 2 or 3 times as high as it should be.
Okay, so for him to go through losers and make it to losers finals through losers, he has a 2.4% chance.
That sounds right.
That's pretty low. Or he goes this alternate route. All right, what are the odds that SFAT wins against Hungrybox and Zane? 7%? We're going to go with the same 7% number?
Yeah.
So he has a 0.7.
I mean, it's 70 basis points there.
7.7% reaches winners finals. Scenario 1.
I'm going to say it, though. I mean, I think
Scenario 2.
I think these events are correlated,
9.3%. So we're saying that he has... If we played this out, he has about an 11.7% chance of reaching losers finals.
That's pretty generous, yeah.
And through losers, like, we're just going to say for the rest of the bracket, he has about a 7% chance of being Mango, Zane, and Hungrybox, right? So he's going to have to win 3 sets in a row from losers to win this tournament, right?
But here's the thing I would say about that, right? There's a pretty heavy correlation with if he's in the shape where he does it that day. Like, his odds of winning 3 sets versus them, given that he gets 1, I think are better than it would be if you assume everything's independent.
Right.
That's at it.
This 7% is actually pretty generous. The more I think about it. Yeah. So scenario 2. So if he goes through losers, like where he's in losers finals, it's a 0.004% chance.
That's not good.
All right. Let's say through winners finals, right?
Yeah. Let's say he's there.
He reaches.
Then he's just got to win.
Reaches grand finals. My bad. So 0.7% chance means that there's three combinations, right? He just needs to win one of those, right? So if he's in grand finals through winners, then the only outcome that he doesn't win is if the 93% happens twice. So it's 1 minus 0.93 times 0.93.
Yeah.
So 13%, that doesn't seem right.
So he's got to win. I mean, so if he wins the first set, it's over, right?
Oh, okay. He has a 0.1% chance. Wait, no, 13% chance. Oh, no, he just has to win one set. Okay, that makes sense. So
yeah, he just doesn't. Yeah, you're all right. He just can't get hit with the double 0.93.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're right. So we're gonna add this up. And what's the other one? And we're gonna say that he has a 0.09%, about a 0.1% chance of winning this.
This is bleak, man.
Or 1 out of 1,000.
Yeah.
And we might have slightly. I guess we're adding in correlative factors that if he's running hot, like that's why we gave him 7%. When realistically it's probably 5%, maybe less.
Yeah.
So if we ran this bracket 1,000 times, thank you Trinity too for the resub. Really appreciate it. Yeah, he has to win a lot
He wins one time, huh?
out of 1,000.
Damn. That said, I think if he's like, I see a world. Yeah, it's the world where he gets hot and has to beat Mango and beat Zane twice.
Oh man. Well, but this is why we play, right?
Yeah, that's why we play.
That's insane. That literally, like SUP being in winner side of top 8, we still think it's about like a 1% shot or like 0.1% shot of winning.
It's really hard to win tournaments versus very good people. You have to be better than them.
Yeah.
My roommate just heard that. Yeah, man, that is some bleak shit, man.
But we play the game just to see that 1.1% chance of happening.
Hey, one time.
It makes me kind of
One
wonder
time.
what like Squid's odds are here. Like if you had Squid play a Hungrybox like 100 times, the Squid win a set.
That'll shit. I mean, probably, right? I mean, think about it. HBox versus Falco's of that skill level over the last blank amount of years. I don't think he's lost a single one.
Yeah.
I think he's literally not lost any of them. I think it's just showing up to the local every day and beating him twice a week for the year.
It's one of those like Silent Wolf Blade Wise kind of situations, but like worse. Significant, like
Yeah.
2 orders of magnitude worse. Oh
One
god,
of
this
those
is
Crush versus Mafia
uh,
situations.
like if I played Hungrybox in 1,000 sets, I don't think I'd win one.
Yeah, no, it's really depressing, but also probably true.
Wow,
Damn,
that's rough.
that's messed up, man.
This is a messed up game.
It really, I mean, people are just way better than you at this game. This game does not lie about that.
So this kind of brings up an interesting point, right? Well, like a lot of people are gonna think I'm stupid, but at what point do you kind of go like, the game is not doesn't have enough variance?
Oh, yeah, right. But
So in an ideal scenario, let's put it this way: in an ideal scenario, should the better player win 100% of the time for it to be
that's
a successful esport?
yeah, it's a good question, right? People don't like that. I mean, look at the playoffs. We have the playoffs. Baseball has playoffs.
Yeah,
Football has playoffs. It indicates that in the psyche, we don't like situations where we know what's going to happen. We don't like the Warriors that much.
Yeah.
Most people.
What if every game in the NBA was, rather than it just being a raw game count, 82 game season, you had to play best of fives, and if you lost, you lost, and if you won, you won. So if you played the Warriors and you went
That's a good
1 and
point.
3, you
Yeah.
got a loss. Very likely, the Warriors would probably be like something like 79 and 3, right?
That's
And
a
then
great
midway
point,
through
yeah.
the season, you have a kingmaker situation, or you have a situation where like it's no longer exciting because you know the outcomes, and then do you even bother watching at that point?
I think there are a lot of things that have to be balanced, right? You want to believe that good play gets rewarded. You want the idea that you can get better, whether that's through luckily beating top players or actually improving at the game. That's a different story. I think people buy into the notion that there can be progress and people can get better. If it's really stagnant, like if somebody won 100% of the time when they were the better player, but you could improve immensely and prepare for people, I think people would still like that.
Yeah. So
Because there's still that doubt of what they brought into it. And that's what you see in, not exactly boxing.
let's say best of fives, correctly based on some like algorithm
Yeah.
predict, like you could predict based on some numbers that like the better player wins like 94% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is 94%, because we're kind of on the notion that like I imagine a lot of melee players would be like, I want the better player to win 100% of the time. which
Yeah.
with statistical variance and fluctuations in play, like you're not always going to play a 9 out of 10. Sometimes you play an 8 out of 10. Sometimes you play 7.5 out of 10, right? And sometimes that 7.5 out of 10 doesn't beat the opponent's 8 out of 10 that they achieve 2 out of 100 games.
Right.
Is a 94% with a best of 5 model acceptable? Or does it need to be a best of 7?
That's a great point. I think as long as the variations are all idiosyncratic, right, where it's just player individual skill and ability and execution, people will generally respect that, regardless of how high or low the percentage is, as long as it's above, let's say, 80 or 90. I mean, it depends on the difference in skill. But if it's just random effects happening, I think people don't like that. Some people do, a lot of people don't. But like, take for example chess, where I'm sure the proportion is higher than 94%. But it's also because people are so much better at that game than other people. That the rule of thumb was, and correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, 200 elo points is roughly like you're going to 75-25 the person. Like you expect to, in rough parlance, beat them 3 out of 4 times. And the difference between me and a grandmaster is something like 7 or 8 of those levels. And I think people are very okay with that.
Okay, it's because I feel like we've arrived at, like, maybe there was some like kind of intuition that said that like best of 3 4 stock and was like the correct call. Like, could we have gone to 5 point. Stock or 3 stock? It's like maybe we intuitively got to an endpoint that made sense. Like the data and what we feel is a tested skill is fairly represented in a best of 3 or 5 4 stock game. So I because that's like a question you kind of wonder about, right? Because other games have different formats, and like TI does a losers bracket, League for whatever reason doesn't. They just do a winners bracket, single limb, and I also think about like the top players and like the expression of skill, which is like up and foremost the most important thing for me, and I imagine for most Melee players. But like if we played a format where, like, let's say it's like 6 stock best of 5, like how frustrating would that be for a person that's trying to move up the ranks? That there is so much removal of any possible sort of variance just because of volume of sample size that the worst player can never win.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I kind of wonder about these kind of things.
Right. It's the notion that all progress would maybe be meaningful in that case, right? You win because you absolutely outplayed them.
Yeah.
Or because the variance. I mean, there were some arguments that like Neighborhood P was making, right? That not only is best of 5 not necessarily superior to best of 3 for this reason, it's a different set of skills to get warm that quickly.
I think so. And there's also the whole stage consideration that Blur talks about where as a Marth main against Spacies, you never play FD. Or like you very rarely do.
You would never do it until best of 5s.
Yeah.
Right.
And that has a different skill set because you're never playing FD, and conversely, like if you're like Marth versus Floaties, you're never playing Dreamland.
Mm-hmm.
So those are just the kind of like interesting questions I had, like because the hyperbole example is that the NCAA with March Madness and with football, where people generally respect it as an expression of skill. Like people love that it's best of 1. And I feel like a lot of people loved Evo because it was a best of 3. And
do people like Evo?
I think as a spectator, granted, like if you're a player, like best of like if you're a player like Leffen, it's probably like it's not in your best interest as a player to play a higher variance game.
I think we should make Evo like the one event that's always really, really hard for the players in unfortunate ways. Like there's no seating. And there's wobbling, that's still legal. And there's three TVs, and you just see what happens,
6 a.m. to
6 a.m. 5 a.m. pools.
You only have access to junk food.
Right. You can get coached, but only by G Money.
Everything that's wrong with it. So
yeah, just double it all and put it there.
But so it's gonna be interesting, right? Because I don't think we need it. So all in all, like it's not anything I'm like demanding a change for. So it's just for people that think I'm going off the deep end. I think Melee is in a fine state, but just exploring other esports, like those are questions I do have on the back of my mind, of like, what I wonder what works about that format, what doesn't work about that format. Ultimately, I think we're in a healthy state that we don't need to make changes, but these are kind of the thoughts that as we kind of progress forward, like that I'll think about from time to time.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk to people from other games and they ask, what do you think of this or that, or why is your format like this? It's good to contextualize it against other games.
If anything, I think the one thing that sucks about our format is, I think Blurred has talked about it a lot, is that from a broadcasting perspective, Summit does this, like, they kind of mitigate this, but, like, every format we have, let's say you had, like, the 16 best players in the world, some of those players get showcased for 15 minutes, and that's it.
That's right.
Or, like, 30 minutes at best. And, like, I've always thought of, like, how could we extend formats that still test expressions of skill without losing the excitement that one person falls 0-8. Like, if you had, like, I don't know, like Armada versus a player that had no chance at being Armada, like, it's excessive to go to, like, a first to 10 when, like, Armada's already up, like, 8-1. Right?
This is the super flex set, right? Where you just two stocks in, you just say Armada wins.
Yeah.
Just call it off, man.
I've also seen kind of this interesting notion from, like, a lot of the top players hate pools, or round robin pools, and it's very quickly apparent within the first two stocks of the game who's going to win the game. Mm-hmm. Like, is it necessary that you play a best of 5 against a person that you, like, 2-0 double 3 stocked?
Right. That's the idea behind the flex set, right? People had this idea where you did win then, and only if it's 1-1 does it go to best of 5.
Yeah.
It gets really weird when you start thinking about it, like what things you can do. But yeah, no, it's always fun to play around with. What was the? No, I'm not gonna be able to remember this.
So we're like closing in. We're on the last, like, 8 minutes.
Oh yeah, are we? Do you think we're gonna go live on time?
No.
Yeah, that's true.
90. We're gonna do something called 90-50-10. You make a prediction that's 90% likely gonna happen that you think is, or that the consensus would say it's like a 90% pick. You're gonna have a 50% where you're like, it's kind of like a coin flip. You're like, but I'm gonna pick this way, and you have your 10% bold prediction. Mm-hmm. So, what are yours?
Okay, 90%. Wow, I want that. That's more than 90%.
Like, give or take, something Mango, that's just, like, very likely to happen.
Yeah, 90% Mango makes winners finals. 50% Zane beats HBox in a set today.
Okay.
Which is, I think, a little less than 50, but that's okay. 10% Wizzrobe plays all of his matches on time without any break.
Ooh, that's spicy. I see what you did there. Current events, I love it.
Because if he gets that, I'm happy. I'm not too unhappy to lose. What about you?
90% Hungrybox makes it to grand finals on winner's side.
Yeah.
50%. There's not too many 50-50s here.
You could pick Squid Face Roll.
No, that's like 70-30. Oh,
yeah, true.
Zane beats Wizzrobe today.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
10% Mango wins the whole thing.
That's it. That's the fun pick. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good time. Zane was seated above Wizzrobe. I really like the set that Zane and Wizzy played. I wouldn't be too unhappy watching that again. Outside of my, my sad bracket, I think that would be my favorite set.
That'd be sick. I want to see Zane Mango.
Oh, Zane Mango would be fun. Can you imagine Mango just wins the whole tournament, and then we just cancel Melee, and we just all play Ultimate?
Senor 7K.
Yeah, Senor 14 quadrillion K. Ultimate goes bigger than Fortnite.
Ooh,
Ninja has to,
Ninja gives out money.
Yeah, Ninja's got to start playing Piranha Plant.
So funny. I didn't have enough clout to get into the Ninja party at TwitchCon.
Nobody does.
You had to either get on the guest list of Ninja and the other person that was hosting the party, or you paid $1,000. Neither option seemed very enticing to me.
Dude, 1,000? Oh my god! There are so many things I could do with $1,000.
You can
There's so many people that have done with
you can go to the summit for 1,000.
You can literally just go to the summit for 4 days and drink Muta King's 1% beers that I still maintain that they give him.
Yikes.
Yeah. You know, they don't, but it'd be great.
Dude, Muta King drunk, as long as I don't have to take care of him, then I'm happy. But if I'm the person that, like, in the back of my head, I'm going to be partially responsible for him, I'm like, oh, this is the worst experience ever.
Yeah, the pain of the parent. Oh, that was one thing we brought up on Save Melee, which was instead of adding a 1K pot bonus, what if you just buy 1K worth of pot and promise top players large amounts of marijuana? I think that actually gets you a better bang for your buck.
Do they get more if they finish further in the bracket?
Yeah, of course, because they're in longer, and you just keep smoking them out as they keep going. Yeah, that's how you got to do it.
I actually see, like, I feel like all 8 of these players like smoke weed.
Yeah. Well,
okay, let's put it this way. I don't know. I can't confirm. I can't confirm it, but I would not be surprised if any of those players. I guess the player I would be most surprised about smoking weed would be Wizzrobe.
Face roll. I would actually be surprised.
Okay, so over under like 7.5.
I'll take under because I think it's 6. I can't tell you which 6, but I think it's 6.
Like, but that they would partake, or just absolutely, like, what do we define as
Oh yeah.
Like
okay, like how high do they have to get alive?
Like, are they willing to like partake in the activity? I guess is like the threshold I hold.
Oh yeah, huh? Okay, yeah. No, I think I'd still take under on 7.5, but I think Army counts for like 3 people. And Mango might count for like 2.
No, Mango actually doesn't that much. Surprisingly,
okay.
He doesn't.
We're back down.
Like I think he's willing to partake, but like he's not like it's not something like he's like, yo, like let's smoke. Like that's.
Let me ask my man on the scene. Hey Ian, face roll squid smoke. Like, have you ever seen it?
Never seen it.
I've never seen it, right? Like, never in my life.
Okay. This is for the type in over and under on 7.
Yeah,
7.5.
Over under on 7.5. Do you take over? Everyone smokes, or one person maybe wouldn't smoke? We haven't seen face roll and squid smoke. That's all I'm gonna say.
You guys are taking the under. Would 6.5 be a tricky one? Is that the one?
6.5.
Okay, let's just change this to 6.5. 6.5. Over under 6.5.
Either squid is straight edge or squid blazes it, and that's really what it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
Because we're assuming Zane smokes. SFAT, come on, look at the guy. This is not hard. Army again counts for multiple people. Wizzy, no idea. I think it is an easy 6, but I think it's still under.
Wow, that's a
Hbox is posted on r/trees on his main Reddit account. So
you know where he's also posted on his main account?
r/Black People Twitter.
It wasn't a comment; it was a self-post too on Black People Twitter.
His own tweet. He posted his own tweet. I said the mod on that was like, "Hey Hbox, it's cool that you're posting here. We had to remove your post because of reason number 1. It does not have to do with anything else."
Honey,
that was.
Have you ever heard of that? Hungrybox self-posting his own tweet on Black People Twitter.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I did see that.
Look at what he's doing. It was about ball. Why is Dragon Ball? It was about because wait, someone just told me that he announced Meek Mill's mixtape in r/hip-hop heads before anyone else.
I'm kind of wondering the thought process that went into that.
No, because he's like, I'm Hbox, I'm gonna get some clout. Let's go. I'm gonna get some points on the internet.
What was the actual post that he tweeted? I totally forgot what he tweeted.
Can we pull it up on screen? It's gotta be in there somewhere. Man, he's gonna win this tournament, isn't he? He's definitely gonna win this tournament. Man, Ludwig's gonna commentate it too.
Wait, Muta King was on Black People Twitter.
Why? He's the opposite.
No, look at this post. This is kind of
okay.
that's kind of a
Yeah,
yikes.
You gotta. Oh, that might not be good. Oh, is it the one where he's getting kissed? That one's a sad one.
That was actually
Um,
on the front page of white people Twitter.
Oh, it's white people.
Or black people Twitter. Black people Twitter.
Okay. You gotta show me, or you gotta show the stream, because I don't know which one this is. Or actually, maybe not this one. This sounds like it might be messed up.
Okay, it had 3,700 likes that
my
that
God.
Mew King post.
Anti once said that M2K had a pass, but I'm not sure if I believe that. That's a dark land of speculation to go down. Yeah, someone just linked me the r/Black People Twitter post again. It was Ultra Instinct Goku.
That's actually really funny.
It said, when you let go of the gas pump and hit exactly $30 on the first try. And it was his own tweet.
How is that? Okay,
And he posted on Reddit with the phrase, "No one man should have all that power."
So I'm pretty sure Hungrybox could have like a pretty good like explanation on his thought process on how this is possibly related to Black people Twitter. I just don't know how he makes.
Oh my God! What is this Mewtwo King? Ian. Oh, did he leave? Okay. Roommate left. I have never seen this in my life. Never in my life have I seen this post.
Which one?
The M2K one. He's dabbing.
Yeah.
Just let him dab, man. He's doing his best. We've seen the Mewtwo King handshakes. You gotta give him some leniency on the dab. Man.
Are they starting?
Oh, that's a good question. Someone should tell us. Here's a question: is Zane's Twitter getting ghost ridden?
You know, this isn't the first time that MDVA has ghost ridden material before.
That's right.
Shout out to Chillin.
Yeah, shout out to Sean.
Yeah.
All right, Lud tweeted they're going live.
Okay, cool. Well, in that case, you know, thank you for.
Oh, I didn't see the third one.
There's
That one's dark.
There's a third one?
No, I'm talking about the bottom left. I didn't know what that was. I've only been looking at Mewtwo King.
Okay. I feel like this has turned very non-GTX related. It was
We've gone down a bad road. This is what happens.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. I blame me, personally. What do you think of Ludwig commentating GTX? I think that's kind of hype.
Yeah. Who's this co-commentator?
It's Vish.
Okay, that works.
Yeah.
Who doesn't Vish get along with?
We just keep subbing out white people to commentate top 8 with Vish. And Vish is cool about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, good
Well, we don't want to steal views, so
That's true.
go watch their stream.